This vlog is mostly going to be an editing vlog.
I hope one of my appeals as a content creator are the weird analogies I come up with, because here's another one. I have to keep in mind, I'm still working full-time. It's the busiest time of the semester.
I will open up a section of Scrivener as a quick reference window.
I'm doing the best that I can to tell stories that I genuinely love and care about.
Hello and good morning, and I have no voice. Welcome to a new vlog. Welcome if you're new here. Hi, I'm Andrea. I'm a full-time university writing instructor and a part-time content creator and indie author. Welcome back if you're one of my lovely returning friends. It is great to have you all here. Welcome to Sunday. So it is Sunday. I have been enjoying a very relaxing weekend so far. I'm resting up as much as I can before a very busy week of conferences for work with students this week. It is Sunday morning. We're going to go for a hike. This vlog is mostly going to be an editing vlog, but we are going to start with a hike this morning. I did not sleep well last night, so that does not bode well for this hike or for the rest of today. I can tell I'm already so sleepy, which is not good. But yeah, I did a lot of vlog editing yesterday to be able to have less vlog editing that needs to be done today. I will need to do some of that, but the majority of today, other than like resting, can be spent doing book editing. So I need to make progress. I need to get all of my notes and comments from the Scrivener read through organized and put together something resembling a revision plan, editing plan for draft 2. So we will talk more about that later. But that is a big thing I'm hoping to do so that this week, in the evenings after conferences, I can be spending at least 30 minutes to an hour each day this week, Monday through Friday, doing some editing. I feel like I did really well with editing with the Scrivener read through because that was a specific and pretty simple task. Read each chapter and make notes and comments along the way of things that need to be fixed. Easy. So even if I was tired, even if I didn't really feel like editing, I could still make myself do at least one chapter a day, sometimes 2 or 3 or more chapters. I think on average I was doing 2 chapters a day. But now that that's done, I'm now up to the point of I need to actually start making the edits. And as you saw in the last vlog, I was struggling with that a little bit. I did manage to do some editing at the very end of that vlog, and I felt really proud of myself for just doing something. But I will not get through to the second draft if each day I tell myself, just do something, because then nothing significant is going to get done. So we need to get the train moving again. I just feel like I've stalled out now that I have to actually start editing the first draft and start moving the editing train down the tracks towards the second draft station. I don't know where this analogy is going. The train has stalled on the tracks and I need to get it moving again because I had really wanted to have the second draft done by the end of the semester, and that might still be possible, but I have to make progress this week. Like, if I want to get through all 20 chapters, plus a prologue, plus an epilogue, so it's essentially 22 chapters, by the end of the first week of May, which is technically when the first semester, like that's when my grades will be due. I was hoping to have it done by like May 1st. That I don't think is going to happen because it is currently April 6th. I mean, if I'm doing a chapter a day, including on the weekends, then maybe May 1st is still possible, but I feel like that's pushing it. I would be happy if the second draft is done and ready for a second draft read through, and maybe even by then a beta draft read through. We'll see. Sometimes the second draft is the beta draft, sometimes the third draft is the beta draft, and then there's a fourth draft before I start copy editing. But I think I can get to that second draft by the time my grades are posted, and I would be happy with that, because then post my final grades, I'm officially on summer break, and I can do a quick ebook read through again to get a feel for where the second draft is at and decide if I do want to send it out as a beta draft or whatever, and then hopefully make faster progress in May, and kind of get myself caught back to where I had wanted to be by around the end of June. Like the goal that I originally had for where I wanted to be by the end of June, I'm not sure if we can get there. And here comes the sun. Can I do that? That sun is coming up. The sun is up, so it's time to get out there and go hiking. The sun's coming up early now, so the sun's been up for like 45 minutes already, so it doesn't feel that late. It still feels quite early to me, even though it is later than I'd wanted, because I know the sun is coming up earlier now. I'm rambling. We're gonna go hiking. I need to stretch my legs. I need to just move. There's a point I'm gonna try to make it to. It's the same point I made it to the first time I did this trail. There are some nice views from up there, so if I can at least make it that far, I will be happy. But it is all uphill the whole way to that particular point, so we'll see how this goes. I'm turning around. I made it to the point that I had got to last time, which takes me about 1.25 miles, and to the peak it's another 1.8, which is a lot. So that's like a 6-mile round trip. I think to the ridge line is another like mile, which just to get to that and back would be like a 4-mile hike. So I don't know that I'd ever make it up to the peak, but I was hoping to get up to the ridgeline, but I'm not gonna last. I'm really tired. I can feel it in my body. The sun is up. It's on this whole trail. I haven't had a single bit of shade. It still feels good because it's super windy. It is super windy. I'm standing here so that I'm kind of protected from the wind. But when you get up to the point where I had stopped, I had to hold on to my hat. I felt like my phone was going to get blown out of my hands. Even here, there's like a canyon right here. And even when I can't feel the wind, like when I'm protected from it, I can hear it just racing down this canyon into the wash. It's amazing. I feel like there's a life lesson there in like your hidden strength, because like wind, you can't see the wind, but you can feel the effects of the wind. I don't know. I'm still working on that analogy. But it was pretty amazing because it's so loud. But the ocotillos are blooming. I can see them blooming all along the hillside. And things are green. Nothing else is blooming, but things are green. It feels good out here. I don't feel the best. It's not the best hike as far as how I'm feeling, but it's a good hike in terms of the weather. And I think because I'm not feeling the greatest, I'm just focusing on the hike. So my brain has actually been remarkably quiet. So I'm enjoying that. But the hard part's done. It's all downhill from here. It was all uphill getting up to that point. But it is fully downhill and maybe the occasional flat, but there's not a single uphill on this whole way back. I will show you a bit of the hike down, and then I'm gonna get home and get cleaned up, and we will at some point get to editing. Okay, I am home. I am relatively freshened up, although I have just realized that I blow dried my hair, but I didn't put on any makeup. So we're just going for the natural look today. Today is a day that I would not normally be vlogging. I need some lip color at least. I do need at least a tinted balm. There, that's a little bit better. So we're going with the lash tint and tinted lip balm and calling it good for the day. This is a day I would not normally be vlogging. I haven't been vlogging on the weekends really since spring break because I've just been collapsing on the weekends. So I wouldn't normally wear makeup on the weekends because I wouldn't normally be vlogging. So I'm just not gonna wear makeup today and we will all survive. Okay, I'm getting Scrivener swung over to where it needs to be. I'm gonna need YouTube opened up so that I can put on an ambiance video of some sort to watch or listen to, set the mood while I work. And yeah, I need to edit. I need to stop talking about editing and I need to do the editing. So where are we at with editing? What are we talking about today? Today the main goal is to get where's my sticky note? I wrote down this sticky note at the end of the last vlog, I think. So I'm gonna put this on my desk, on my monitor stand, right in front of me so that I cannot miss it. So we're gonna go through all the comments in each chapter, and we're gonna go through all the notes in each chapter because I have in Scrivener, there's lots of places you can write down notes. So there's a note section when you're on the like index card view to the side of the binder, but then there's also the comments and footnotes section. So I've got general editing notes for each chapter in that notes section for each chapter, and then I have comments that are attached to specific lines and sentences and paragraphs in the manuscript. So basically each chapter has two sections where notes have been put. The notes section in Scrivener is where I put stuff as I thought of it while I was writing it. So if I've
added a new character in that chapter for the whole series, if I was writing something and just knew this isn't as good as I want it, then I put a note saying fix this or develop this more in the next draft. So there's lots of little notes. There's things that I want to look up. I've got questions like of when did this or that thing happen? What have I said in a previous book? So rather than slow down the writing process of the first draft by going back into old files and back into the existing books to see what did I write, what did I already say about this, I just put a note. I just wrote what sounded good to my memory and then just wrote something based on memory and moved on with the writing. So now is the time, and this is what kind of makes the second draft take longer compared to like going from the second draft to the third draft, because going from first to second, I'm fixing a lot of continuity stuff. I'm filling in gaps in the background and the backstory of different things. I'm developing character a little bit more. I'm developing plot a little bit more. There tends to be bigger things, even if they're not necessarily structural. Like, I wouldn't say that draft one has any major structural things that need to be fixed, but we're still dealing with a very early stage draft. So I think I talked about in a previous vlog how first draft is kind of laying that foundation for the story and getting the basic structure of the house built. If the whole book is a house, then at the end of draft one, the foundation has been laid. That's kind of my outline. And that's why I spend so much time on my outline, because if you just start writing, you could end up with a very unstructurally sound house. And then you've got to go back and strengthen that structure in that first round of editing. If your outline is really good, and if you've done all of that structural foundational work in the outline, then by the end of your first draft, your structure is going to be pretty good. You might still decide to redo the layout. You might still decide, you know what, I don't want my office here, I want my office here, and you've got to move rooms around and stuff. There could still be some things like that, but structurally the foundation is good and the main structure of the outer four walls is good. You might still just be tweaking some of the inner walls. I hope you're following me with this weird analogy. So I feel like where the book is right now, the foundation is good, all the walls are up, everything's roughly in the right place. But like, I still don't have like plasterboard up. Like, I can still see the structure, if that makes sense. So like, we're nowhere near the fun like decorative bits. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. So the first draft, I'm still putting in the insulation. I'm still putting up the plasterboard on the walls so that I can eventually then paint them and things like that. I'm still running some of making sure that the pipes and the electrical wiring is like running through the right places. You know, that's kind of your dangling plot threads and stuff. So I'm still working on those big things that aren't really related to the overall, like the deep structure of the book, but they still have to be fixed before you can paint and wallpaper and hang curtains and, you know, do all the really fun decorative bits. So I'm still refinishing the floors and things like that. You can tell I watch too many like chateau renovation channels. So yeah, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and there's still a lot of going back to old manuscripts to see what I said in the final drafts of those, to make sure that continuity from one book to the next is correct. There's still a lot of overall plot development and character development that needs to be done. But typically then, by the end of the second draft, I'm not quite to line editing yet, but if there is a third draft, it's usually minor things. It's usually reading back through the book and realizing, oh, this chapter and this chapter still feel a bit weak compared to the rest, or this character, this one character, or maybe two characters still feel a little undeveloped, but like the majority of things are getting there. So draft 3, and then if there is a draft 4 of a developmental edit go by pretty quick. So draft 1 is going to take a while. So part of my problem is because I know that I am at the beginning of a big process. Not as big as writing it, but still a big process. I stalled out. And so if writing a book, here we go. I hope one of my appeals as a content creator are the weird analogies I come up with, because here's another one. If writing a book is like taking a journey on a train, and you start at beginning station, you know, idea station, where it's just a tiny bit of an idea, and then the train goes down the track to outline station, and then it goes further down the track to first draft station. We're at first draft station right now. And we've stopped here for a little too long. So we need to get the train moving again to get to second draft station. And then we need to see if we're going to have to detour out to third draft or possibly also fourth draft station before getting back onto the main track to head to line edit and copy edit station. And then you just keep going to formatting station and proofreading station. Finally, you get all the way to launch day station, right? Anyway, this is how my brain makes sense of all of this. So the train has been stuck at first draft station, and I feel like I've gotten off the train. I made myself a little too comfortable in the cafe at the train station, and I need to get back on the train and get the train moving on the tracks again. One of the things I really want to do is, in order to start editing and start moving back towards the next stop on the tracks, the second draft, is I need to get all of my notes and comments organized into a separate section on Scrivener. So I'm going to make use of the research binder, where I tend to put a lot of notes and ideas, and you can, I'll try to show you this later in the vlog once I get it set up. You can open up different sections of your Scrivener binder in Scrivener, or as a separate external window that you could then move on to an external monitor or whatever. So Scrivener has lots of cool features. I've made it a goal that by the end of this month, whether as a bonus video or as an extra bonus video or just as a main Monday or Wednesday video, I will do I've had the idea of doing I think I've got like 6 or 7 features of Scrivener that you might not know about. This is one, being able to open up multiple windows in Scrivener, but also being able to pull windows out and have them in a separate window on your screen. So that's what I'll be doing, so that I can be looking at each chapter, but also in a separate Scrivener thing within my Scrivener file, have a window open where I can be adding all of the notes, just copy and pasting things, so that I'm not having to type and retype notes that I've already written. So that's goal number 1, and that's really all I'm hoping to accomplish today. Once I've organized all of my notes and comments and ideas and things that I need to keep in mind for the second draft, I'll show you how I've got that organized, and we'll talk about what the next steps are as far as like a revision plan and editing plan and things like that. So I'm gonna get my project candle lit, my computer turned back on, and get some sort of cozy, relaxing playlist going. And yeah, we'll just see how much we can get done today. It's 11:13. I would like to be done somewhere between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. so that I can have the rest of the afternoon to finish editing tomorrow's vlog, and then to just read and relax and rest my brain a little bit. I do not want to spend all day today editing. So 2 to 3 hours max is all, less than 3 hours now. So 2 hours to 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's the time frame we're working in, and we'll see how much I can get done. I've got this roughly done, I think. This is intense. I won't lie. It's a lot, but I think I have it. I think I've got everything, basically. But yeah, now I am needing to figure out like what my next step is. So I've created a file in Scrivener in my research binder. I've just titled it revision notes. And so at the top I've labeled it notes for editing from first draft to second draft. So basically, what are all the things I have noted down that I want to change? I didn't do all of them. If it was just a little comment attached to a specific line of text in the manuscript, I didn't copy that over. What I copied over from all the different sections in each chapter are the bigger things that I need to be aware of. Is like these are the main things you need to fix. So there are going to be some little things as I'm going chapter by chapter that I need to address as well. But I've got a long list of general notes and things to fix. So in my revision notes file document within Scrivener, I have my running list of new characters that I came up with and have been named for book 4. I try to make sure that I don't repeat names from one book to the next if it's a brand new character. So I try not to have 2 characters within the world of Independent Hearts who have the same name. Even if they're a secondary character, I just try to make sure that if someone has a really good memory, they're not thinking, oh, is this the same person from book 2? It needs to be a completely different name. So I will copy this into my character list for the whole series. I can then, as I'm naming people, I can search the character list because I copy that from one file, one Scrivener file, manuscript file, to the next, so that always transfers over. I can then search the new file and see if the character name I'm thinking of pops up in my character list, basically. So I will do this now so that I don't forget. Some of these people are also people who I've come up with, and then like in the main character list file, I've come up with them and then I never used them. So yeah, I've got the list of new characters, then I've got a section for things to look up / questions that need answering. Then I've got a section that still needs to be filled out. I haven't filled this out, but editing tasks. So like what is my next step? What is my like step by step to get from first draft to second draft? Then I've got a section for general notes and things to fix. So this is a very miscellaneous grab bag full of notes and comments and increase the impact of this moment and strengthen the description of this particular character, and this is something to consider throughout the whole manuscript. So I've got those kinds of big things. Describe this location more, look up writing terminology. So I mentioned that Molly is an equestrian, so I don't have a lot of history riding horses. I did learn how to ride very briefly. I learned a little bit about, you know, tack for horses and, you know, saddle and the bridle and all of those different things, and like basic care and like brushing of horses, but I never actually took care of the horse. I did my riding lesson and I left. So Molly knows a lot more about these things than I do. So I need to look that up. I did actually find a book when I was over at my parents' house. Mom and I were going through the garage. I found The Rider's Handbook, a step-by-step beginner's course by Sally Gordon. I have no idea when this book was published because there is apparently no copyright date, but I would guess by the pictures that we're dealing with somewhere in the 80s. That being said, there's certain elements of horse riding that haven't really changed, and then a lot that have probably changed a lot, so I don't know. But it covers Western riding, side saddle riding, English riding, care of horses, types and breeds of horse. So it covers a lot, and I figure anything in here, this will give me a basic understanding, and then I can also look online for other stuff. So there's things like that that I still need to just work on. And obviously I don't want to fill the book with a ton of references to, you know, the care and training of horses. But where I do mention something, I want it to be correct. This is the other thing with writing. I feel like as a writer, I will do so much more research, and I will work out the history and the backstory of people and places in the book to a really like deep extent, and you will only see a fraction of that in the final book. But I have to make it make sense in my head so that I can write it in a condensed way that gives you just enough information for it to make sense, for it to be believable, for it to create that world of the book, but not so much that it becomes info dumping or detracts from the novel itself. So then I have a section in my notes page here on history and backstory for continuity. There's so many things in here, and I'm going to work all of this out for myself, and you are only going to see a tiny fraction of it. But I have to make the history and the backstory of the farm, of her shop, of Molly's family, I have to make it all make sense in my head so that when I do give you a few details here and there, those details make sense throughout the whole book. So I've got several things listed in that section. Then I've got a section for characters / things that need names or new names. There's some things that haven't been named at all. There's other things that I'm realizing, I just randomly created this character, but she could potentially be like a feature for a future book. So if I do use her as a future book, do I like this name that I've given her quickly, or should I like think a little bit more and give her a different name? So yeah, I have a whole little section in my notes here on things that I just need to be very clear about the name. Spellings of name, do I spell something with 1 L or 2 L's? When it comes to Molly's name, that's obviously 2 L's, but her nickname, I do refer to her as Moll several times in the book, but I've switched between M-O-L and M-O-L-L, so like is her nickname 1 L or 2. There's another character who's got 2 L's in her name, but I know I switch back and forth between 1 L and 2 L's. So just making sure that names are that I lock down now what names I'm being used, what nicknames are being used, consistent spelling of those, like deciding what is the spelling. There's another character whose name I spell with an O-R at the end, Molly's brother, Connor. Connor can be spelled C-O-N-N-O-R or C-O-N-N-E-R. And I've gone with the O-R ending, so like I need to make sure that I'm consistent with that throughout, because other authors, let me know if you do this. I do sometimes have a tendency to randomly switch the spelling of a character's name throughout a manuscript. There'll be a few chapters where it's spelled one way, and then another few chapters where it's spelled another way, and then by the end of the book I go back to the original way. It's a thing. And then the last section in my revision notes page is future book ideas, because I already have ideas for, we know we're going through book 5 because that's Bryn's book. So book 4 is Molly's book, book 5 is Bryn's book. But I potentially have the beginnings of book 6, 7, and 8. I've got three other women. Now that I'm nearing the end of this original 5 books, I am starting to think about beyond that. And so yeah, I had some notes in all my editing notes and comments about future book ideas, so I've created a separate section in my revision notes page. So that's where we're at with this, but now I need to think a little bit about what do I want the next stage to be, and how do I want to go about with the actual like editing of the first draft and moving it from the first draft to the second draft, bearing in mind that it's the last month of the semester, basically like from today, because it's April 6th. So my last day of classes, I believe, is April 29th. But then I'll be working that following week, so the first week of May. So I basically have 5 weeks left of work, 4 weeks left of teaching and being in the classroom, and then 1 week of final grading and wrapping everything up. So on the journey from draft 1 to draft 2, I have to keep in mind I'm still working full-time. It's the busiest time of the semester. I've got a lot on my plate. I'm also doing YouTube. So YouTube is an important priority for me. So it's not just that writing is the top, like writing and YouTube are equal priorities for me. So I need to make sure that whatever my editing plan is, that it also accommodates filming and editing 2 videos a week with the extra bonus videos twice a month. So I need to have a think about all of that. It's only 12:35, so I'm doing really good on time. So I'm gonna work on trying to jot down just a rough framework task list for how I want to do work on editing and try to make all of this make sense in my head so that I don't get so overwhelmed that I don't do any editing tomorrow. I want to end today knowing what I'm going to do starting tomorrow, basically. And I love a task list. I really do. So yeah, I think I'm ready to get started tomorrow. I've done enough today. I really don't think I want to work on things today. It's nearly 1 o'clock. I need to do dishes, and then I want to just get a snack and sit down and relax and read for the rest of the afternoon. So I feel good about editing. I feel like I know what I'm doing starting tomorrow. So I don't have a really detailed revision plan or editing plan. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I will probably have more of something for draft 3, like more specifics of what I need to work on. I just feel like right now there's so much that I need to work on. But breaking it down into something a little bit smaller and easier to understand, like into more big picture things, I've just made some notes and ideas for how I want to tackle this. So number 1, the first thing on this like task list and things to keep in mind, I changed it from just editing tasks to editing tasks / things to keep in mind on journey to second draft. So here's what I'm keeping in mind as I'm working towards the second draft. Progress, not perfection. There's still a lot of big things that need work, and I'm not going to address all of them perfectly in the second draft, but I need to start working on some of the big picture stuff so that for the third draft I can then focus on what remaining like medium level things still need to be done. So the third draft can still be polished more before we even get to line editing. Like I'm not even thinking about line editing. I'm just thinking there's big continuity and history and backstory things that need to be fixed. There's other big character and plot development things that need to be worked on. So I need to get them moved along before I can then look at them and see, okay, what still needs to be done to make it as good as possible. So I'm not worried about making things perfectly polished at this point. I'm just trying to get them make progress from the first draft. It just needs to be noticeably stronger and more developed for the second draft from how it is now. My goal is to try to work on 1 chapter per day or 1 big continuity task per day. And I want to try to work on things for at least 1 hour per day, Monday through Friday. And then if I feel like working on the weekends, I can. I will spend some days just editing an individual chapter and other days working on those big continuity things. So that gives me options. If there's a day where I just don't feel like working on the manuscript, then I can spend that day working out, okay, what is the history of Molly's shop? If there's a day where I just don't feel like dealing with fixing little things in each chapter, I can work on bigger stuff that impact the continuity of the book overall. So one chapter per day or one big continuity task per day. And I can work slightly out of order on some of these, and I'm giving myself permission to do that. My deadline, my tentative deadline, is, if possible, have second draft done by the day that grades are due, which I believe is May 12th, so that I can spend that week of May 12th doing another ebook read through and figuring out what I need to do for draft 3. I put on days where I am struggling, focus on the little things that are easy to fix, or break up bigger edit notes, like bigger continuity notes, into smaller tasks to work on. At least one day a week, focus on knocking out one of the big continuity tasks. So I've written down 4 things. I need to fix the timeline of the book overall, and the order that, and the timeline of the plot. I need to work out the family farm, its history and its layout. I need to figure out Molly's shop, its history and its layout. And I need to figure out Molly's family tree. I need to figure it all out so that the few things that I do mention make sense and don't contradict each other. So those are kind of the 4 big continuity, history, backstory things that I need to get correct. And then my main focus for this draft are character development and description, like character descriptions for the 2 main characters, for Molly and Andrew. The romantic development, so the development of their romance and their relationship throughout the book. Solidifying the history / backstory for continuity, because I can't get the main edits done until I've got all of those dates and people and history and things like that making sense in my head. And then strengthening key moments. So the prologue needs work because I wrote it very quickly in one afternoon, and it's essentially a placeholder. There's a lot of good stuff in there that will stay, but there's a lot. I just want to make the prologue more, I want to make it stronger, and I want to make it more immersive, to really like draw you in to Molly as a character, but then to really set up for the opening of chapter 1. I need to work on chapter 1 and the inciting incident. I need to work on chapter 10, which is the midpoint. Chapter 17, I just want to tweak a bit because that's the setup to the climax. So I need to work on chapter 17 and little bits throughout, but definitely chapter 17, so that when you get to the climax in chapter 18, everything makes sense and everything's believable. Then I need to work on chapter 18, the climax. You got to make sure that that all works. And then chapter 20, the kind of final resolution and final chapter, you want to make sure that's strong. And then the epilogue, also, it's the last bit of the book. You want to make sure that that is as strong as possible. So those are the main chapters that I know I really need to take my time on, and those are the chapters and sections where I might allow myself to spend more than one day working on them. I think some of them are already fairly good and won't take me more than a day of working on them. Others of them I know need a lot of work and a lot of strengthening, and had a lot of comments that I put in them as I was editing or reading through them during the Scrivener read through. So I'll want to strengthen those and make sure those are as strong as possible. So yeah, that's what I'm working on for draft 2. I did want to show you all, I will show you in a future Scrivener video, but just so that you, in case you were wondering how I've got things set up. There's 2 different ways that you can, well, there's multiple ways, but the 2 main ways that I will arrange Scrivener on my desktop. One using full screen mode and one not, and having them as 2 separate windows side by side, and that's what I ended up doing. So in full screen mode, let's pretend this is the manuscript. I've opened it up to a blank file in my research binder here so that you can't see anything. But let's pretend this is your manuscript. You've got your beautiful text written here. You've got your index card and your notes and all of that. But you want to have something else open so you can see two different sections of your binder open in one window. You come up here to this little split window icon, and that creates two different things. So you can see two different pages in one window. The one that is highlighted is the one that is selected from your binder over here. So let's say I've got the timeline open here, but I want to have another section open here. I toggle over to this one, and then I can come down here and click on a different section. So now I've got two separate sections of my binder open in one place. So this is how I started working today. And then I realized that if I put notes in the notes section of one document, as soon as I toggle over to the other window here, I can't see the notes. If I toggle back, I can see them, but then if I want to come work over here, those notes disappear. And so since I was working on looking at notes and comments, once I toggled back over to my revision list, I couldn't see the notes anymore. So what I ended up doing was opening, let's pretend this is my revision notes. I ended up opening my revision notes in a separate window. So to do that, so take it out of full screen mode, then you go up to navigate, and then open, open, and then open as quick reference. And then that pops it out as a separate window. So now if I'll get this lined up on that side, and then I'll just resize this so that it fits, and then resize that a bit. I just keep resizing it until I have everything how I want it. Now I can close out here, so I want to make sure, so I've got my cut text file open here. I'm going to put this one in Scrivener back to timeline. Now if I have notes and comments and things written here, or if I've put a comment over here, now when I click to be able to type in here, I can still see the comments visible. And if I toggle this back over to notes, I can still see my notes, even if I then click to be able to type in here. So I will use these features in different, for different reasons. When I want to be able to see and work in all of these sections, even when I'm clicked in and typing here, I will open up a section of Scrivener as a quick reference window and have them tiled kind of side by side, and you can just kind of hover over the edge until you get the double-ended arrow, and then you can click to resize that and make it fit. And then you can toggle back and forth between one and the other with no problem. But sometimes it's nice to work in full screen, and I don't need to be able to see stuff here. You can even hide the inspector, which then gives you more room. I just clicked the blue I button in the top. So that hides your note cards and notes section and your comments and metadata and all the things that you can access in this section here. So I can hide that and then open up even more things. And I think there's a way, if you go to window, I'm not going to get into this, but if you go to window and layouts, there's lots of different things that you can do. So like I've now opened up, I've now opened up 3 different windows that I can work in. So basically, Scrivener is amazing. You can do so much with it. It's one of the things that I really love most about Scrivener, because it means that I can customize it to how I need it to be set up to work on any given day as I'm working. So that is all of that. I'm going to shut down the computer for now. It is 1:08, so I'm gonna go do my dishes. I'm gonna go do my dishes and then make some popcorn as a snack and get cozy on the couch and just spend the rest of the afternoon reading, because it's gonna be a really busy week and I did not want to spend all day working on this. I still need to finish editing the vlog. I will probably do that first and then read, because then editing tomorrow's vlog is done and I won't have to worry about it, and that can just be exporting and uploading while I read and relax. It is past 5 o'clock and I need to stop reading. If I don't stop reading, I will spend the rest of the night reading. I knew this was going to happen because it's just what seems to happen whenever I read my own books. I get so sucked into the story that I can't stop reading it, even though I know what's going to happen because I wrote it. But because I know what's going to happen, I know what scenes are coming up. And so I'll just get this feeling of, ooh, this scene's next. I love this scene. Ooh, this scene's next. I really want to read this scene. And so I don't want to wait until like tomorrow to pick it back up. I just want to keep reading. So I have made myself put it down because I know the scenes that are coming up. And if I keep reading, I'm just going to end up spending the rest of the night finishing the book. So I'm reading Forever Love London. For anyone who's new and doesn't know, it's my book. It's the most recent one that I've published. I feel like I can see how far my writing has come in that one, and like jumping from book 1 to book 4, I can really see how far my writing has come. I'm doing the best that I can to tell stories that I genuinely love and care about. The fact that like I start reading my own books and then I can't put them down, just, I don't know. I'm rambling. But I feel like that's a sign that I've done something right. Whether you all love my books or not, I'm, like I said in the last vlog or 2 vlogs ago, I write the books that I want to read, and I don't know, I have reread them, a few of them in the past, but I'm really enjoying rereading them at the moment. And I think this needs to be a semi-regular thing that I do. Like not necessarily every year, but every other year, read every other series or something like that. Rereading my work and reminding myself of how far I've come. Reading book 4 is making me excited to get back to work on book 5, but then it's also kind of making me excited to be working on book 4 of Independent Hearts. So yeah, anyway, it's a good feeling. I'm enjoying it. So it's been a very cozy and relaxing Sunday on the couch reading. I've just had a lo-fi London scenery video playing in the background, and that's been very nice. But today's been a lovely day. I had a beautiful hike, as tired as I was. When I turned off the activity on my watch, it rated it as a level 9 all out, and I'm not surprised because it's all uphill for like half the hike. But thinking about it, I didn't even get a full 6 hours of sleep last night. I should not have attempted an all-out hike on less than 6 hours of sleep. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking. I was just thinking, it's warming up. It's one of my last days, one of the last mornings that's going to feel that nice that I could do that hike, because it is a more intense hike. And if it was just 10 degrees warmer, or if the sun had been stronger, I would not have wanted to do that hike today. So it felt like it was my last chance to comfortably do that hike. And yeah, I wish I'd gotten more sleep last night, but oh well. It was still lovely, and I've made a lot of progress on editing. I'm feeling really good about how many notes I got copied over and how organized I've managed to make them. And I'm still very nervous to sit down and start editing tomorrow, but I need to just start, and I need to remember what I put in my notes, that it's not the final developmental edit pass, it's just the beginning. I just need to work on getting everything moved a little bit further down the road, further down the track, to go back to our train track analogy. Just get it moved down to the next station, and then I can reevaluate. It doesn't have to be perfect. The next step is not line editing. I will just keep doing developmental edit passes until it feels ready for line edits and copy edits. So I need to just start. I don't like how I feel like I've stalled out over this past week. I just feel like I've lost a week of valuable editing time by not doing any editing this past week. So I don't want another week to go by. Like, I don't want to linger on feeling like it was wasted time, because it wasn't. It's good to give myself a bit of time off in between the different steps, but I don't want to keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So I want to get started on it. So breaks are important, and stepping away from your project is important. Whatever kind of writing you do, time away from it is really important. I think it's really easy as writers to just want to keep moving on to the next step and not break up that momentum. I was the same way with my PhD and writing my dissertation, but then you stay in this space where you're just looking at it so closely that you can't see some of the mistakes. And so you do need that time to step away. But what I've always struggled with is when I step away and kind of lose that momentum a bit, it's really hard for me to get started again. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I've had a break from, after doing the Scrivener read through, and that was good, but now I need to get back to work. And so tomorrow I need to just make myself start, even if I'm not doing a whole chapter. I think tomorrow my goal is to work on it for an hour, whether I finish the prologue or finish chapter 1 or, get all the notes done from something or not, that's fine. But I want to work on it for an hour. Even if I just spend an hour staring at it, at least I will have done something for the project for an hour. The next vlog will be a week-long editing vlog. I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'd really appreciate both of those things. Say hi in the comments. Let me know how you're doing. Leave me some hiking related or sun emojis for the sunrise hike, because it was truly beautiful, or some book emojis for both book editing and book reading. We've done both today. And in the comments, you can let me know if you're a writer. I would love to know your best editing tips. We can share in the comments. How do you get yourself back to working on your project when you feel like you've stalled out? That can be also really helpful advice. So that can be our writing related question. Reading question. Let me know your thoughts on rereading books. Do you reread favorite books? And if so, what book do you tend to reread the most often? I would really like to know that. So yeah, there's our questions and our emojis for this vlog. I will see you all down in the comment section to discuss all of that. On your way down to the comment section, you can click the like button to like this vlog. You can subscribe if you're not subscribed, and both of those things would be amazing. You can click to open the description box and you will find the link to sign up for my email newsletter, as well as links to my books if you would be interested in them. I really enjoy them. I'm totally biased, but I enjoy my own books. And yeah, I will see you down in the comment section to chat with you all down there. And I will see you all very soon in the next vlog. Thank you very much for watching this one. Bye!